Hello everybody, my name is Gerben and welcome to Conscious Yes, where we talk about the inner world, the world of the spirit. Why do we meditate? I'd like to go into that question for a little bit if you're interested. Because it's such an important topic, right? As soon as you embark on your spiritual journey, this is one of the first things that you learn about. And it has to do with imaginary time, the psychological time. You read about the power of now from Eckhart Tolle, and meditation has so much to do with the future, the present, and the past. But I'd like to, with you, explore why do we do it? What is the place of meditation, and what are the traps? Do you know? So we can really for ourselves decide or look again at what place meditation has. So we're not taking some guru, some person's accepting some person's authority on that, like how you have to meditate, because that's what you do when you embark on a spiritual journey and all that stuff, but look for yourself. What do you think? What do you find? And why do you do it? So initially, I'll give you my ideas about it, and then you can see if it makes sense to you. I often talk about knowledge and the limits of intellectual understanding of things, but I like to point out that it is a part of spirituality. It's a part of what I do in one-on-one sessions. It's all getting ideas across, right? And it's part of it, because the mind, in many ways, thought needs to be satisfied. It needs to have answers. It has a lot of questions that needs answering, and needs to be satisfied. And in that, thought can see its limits. It can see the mistakes that it makes. And when it does, it finds its true place. And much of the journey of awakening, of enlightenment, is a mental journey. It has a lot to do with thought. It's basically thought finding its true place. So the initial understanding is very important. And the spiritual journey initially is so confusing. There's so much information, and you find so many emotions and things to do, and it's very you're still so caught up in life, caught up in the ideas about life, that initially it feels like it takes a lot of effort. It requires a lot of effort. So one part is that intellectual understanding. We exchange ideas, we modify, we tweak, so we can see where we make the erroneous assumptions, where we can see the mistakes, of thought, of how we operate with thought. We can see the logics, together. And that's part of the spiritual journey. And then the other part is the quiet time on yourself, on your own, and being in nature alone. Very important. To reflect, to doubt, to inspect, to follow your thoughts, to see your beliefs, your patterns, how you've been propagandized, how you've been programmed, all that stuff. The combing out, the skimming of the lake. And so initially these things are very important. The doubt, the self-doubt, the self-reflection, meditation. Quiet time on yourself, the inspecting is so important initially, but it has to mature. It has to change at one point. Meditation has to become something else at one point. And why do I say that? Because these things, what they do, self-reflection, all that stuff, doubt, they loosen up, they open up the mind, they open up thought, they open up you to the possibilities of something else. Because we're very closed off. As we are currently, we're very narrow-minded, we're very closed off. We have these pillars of belief that we stand on, ideas about ourselves, about the world, that need to be loosened up. And a lot of people, you see, they get some kind of spiritual abilities or paranormal abilities, seeing dead people, having all sorts of spiritual insights that are pretty extreme. That in my insight, in my seeing, has to do with opening up the mind to different possibilities. That there's more possible than just the ideas that we have about life. They're so limited. But life is something so huge. Nature, there's something that we really don't know what life is and what life is about. And much of these spiritual disciplines has to do with opening up your mind to all these different possibilities. It's not like it looks like. It is not what life looks like. It is not what we have been learned and propagandized through school, from our parents, all this stuff that we've gathered about what life could be, should be. Very limited. But okay, it's just what life is right now. It's great. So much of that is the initial loosening up, meditation as well, of the mind. And then I said it has to mature, it has to change, because up to that point we live in a world of ideas. We live in a world of I'm here and I have to change myself. I see my limitations, I see my erroneous moving of through life, and I have to change myself. I see an enlightened Baba on the path, I see a guru, and I compare myself, and I see, I'm not there. That person is enlightened, I'm not there yet. I should practice more. And we take on these authorities about spirituality, and they say meditate. Meditate as a discipline to get somewhere else, to learn, right? To block thoughts, to feel the body, to block the senses, to shut out reality for a moment, to shut out what is, right? So that I can create some space around myself, so I can create some space around my beliefs, about my ideas, around my how I've been programmed, right? Which initially we need. We need that initially to open up, like I said. We need that desire to go in there, the burning hot desire to make that initial burst, to investigate, to tell the truth, which takes a tremendous amount of guts, a tremendous amount of energy, and it feels like a lot of effort, right? Because initially, when we embark on that path, what we do is we shake the pillars of ideas that we stand on. There's ideas of what I am as a person, the ideas of what life is. Maybe for some people they're religious ideas, do you know? And what that does, it opens up a whole can of fear, anxiety, doubt, suffering, do you know? Because that's what was underneath. And that's what these ideas cover up. The temporary, but constantly, life is for most people, is a constantly temporarily covering up the fact of what is life. By identifying constantly with little things, by identifying with beliefs, ideas, what other people say about you, identifying with material things, constantly little things, money, what I have to do, all these little things that we go through in life. We're bouncing between being something, being an idea, identifying with something. So that's the first thing that spirituality, through meditation, through these disciplines, shakes at, right? You're not that. You're just like, hey, through meditation you open up and you go like, oh, what's going on? Do you know? It's like, oh, nothing is really what you thought it was. And people that are in psychedelic plants, the plant hallucinogens, it can shock you. You find so quickly that life is so different than you thought it was. And that's not a hallucination, do you know what I mean? We are in a hallucination. Most people are completely hallucinating, completely deluding themselves, and which is part of life or journey. So to go through the fear, the anxiety, all the things that come up that are in your body, it takes a tremendous amount of guts, tremendous amount of energy and perseverance in many ways, and effort, to stand your ground, to not back down, to not be afraid of the fear, to not be afraid of the anxiety, but to have the balls to face it. And this is what makes it for the very few, the real spirituality, because it takes everything, all your beliefs, everything. Very beautiful, very scary. So then we come to that point. Up to that point, we're still in the world of ideas, of thoughts, of me getting somewhere else. Because we have some ideas about enlightenment, about where I should be, and how do I get there, do you know? The mind will come in and try to help, thought will come in and say, like the good old boy that it is, how can I help? How can I solve this problem? We see ourselves as a spiritual problem that needs to be solved. And the tools are, according to authorities, to meditate. To sit quietly, cross my legs, shut out reality, shut everything out. My thoughts, block everything. And to just be. And we're not just being, we're doing being. That's a completely different thing, right? I hope you can see that. We're trying to be by force. I have to be right now, in the present moment, do you know? Very forced. Being doesn't cost any effort, right? It's just you are, it's truth. You don't have to put any makeup on truth. Then we have to mature. Meditation, in its essence, is the art of not becoming something. Meditation is the art of not becoming. It's the one thing in life that we do to not become, to not be something else that we're not. And up to that point, we've done everything we could to not be. To look at our sorrows, to look at our fear and say, oh God, I'm so fed up with feeling sadness and anxiety. How do we get out of this? And how is the thought coming in saying, how do I solve this problem, right? But thought is the wrong tool. Thought is the wrong tool of change. Thought is the right tool of change in the physical world, right? To change the iPhone 5 into the iPhone 6. But when somebody hands you a hammer, a thought being the hammer, and says, please build this house for me. There's a couple of trees there, but you can only use the hammer. You have to chop down the trees, mill them into logs, and saw the logs to size, hammer the whole house together, but you only have a hammer. It's not going to be a very pretty house. This is how we solve all our problems. Internally, the problems of the world. We're trying to solve everything with a hammer, and look at what the world has become. Look at the ugliness. And then somebody comes up and driving up with an F-350 with all sorts of tools that you need to build a proper house, right? Anything to do with the how is thought. To change is thought. To want to change. How do I change, right? So we were still at that point. I'm sorry it's taken so long. But it's an important point. It completely changes your life. That point. To see the boundary. I talk about this a lot in different ways. The marriage between opposites. There is this point of where thought is useful, thought is a problem. Physical and psychological realm. It causes all sorts of it has all sorts of problems that comes along if you use thought like we use thought in the physical realm. If you use it in the psychological realm the same way, it creates a lot of anxiety and pain and fear and all that stuff. So that point is very important. The art of not becoming. We wanted to become something. We become enlightened. But can we psychologically become something? We're a living being, right? We're alive. We are alive. We cannot become something that's alive, that's constantly changing, cannot become an image. And life is up and down and round and has chills and thrills, right? It's life. It's a roller coaster. It's feeling good and bad. It's anxiety and happiness, enjoying and sadness, right? That's all there. We cannot become something that's an idea. We cannot become only happy. That's not life. We cannot become because we already are. And spirituality really, after that point, after the maturing, is not becoming anything. Because what you really are, all these ideas that we have about ourselves, the consciousness that is here, is the thing that we're looking for, is the constant. The ego wants to be constant, but it's temporary, right? It's a blipping in and out. But what we are is this peace, is this love, is this tranquility. It is what it is. But we drag it left to right, and we put beliefs on it. Like I said, we leave belief out there for all sorts of people and institutions and governments and special intergroups and media to tear us left to right. We're being torn left to right by beliefs. I'm a Democrat. I'm a Republican. I'm a Jew. I'm a Muslim. There's all this where we identify with things. And we believe things that we believe that we are something, But we live in the world of consciousness. We cannot become something because becoming is in the realm of ideas. Becoming enlightened is in the realm of ideas. So that's the trick. The concepts of ideas, the concepts of enlightenment, the concept of life. And you'll probably, after that point, or after maturing, you'll probably still sit in silence, but it's not forced. You'll still be in your body, but you're not blocking anything. You're not blocking your senses. You're not blocking your thoughts. Why would you? So the same goes for self-doubt. It has to mature. It's very useful before that. You have to self-doubt yourself, to not be so certain of life. It's such a, what can you be certain about? Self-reflection, how useful initially to reflect on yourself. Well, how are you doing? What is going on? Why do I say that? What's the real reason why I do this? That telling the truth constantly. Afterwards, it becomes this narrative, becomes self-involved, becomes self-pityness, it becomes this bullshit. Trying to identify with these things. Meditation becomes trying to get somewhere. Meditation is trying to stop your thoughts. And that's before how usually a lot of people use meditation. Sit quietly, block all my thoughts, be in the body, not engage my senses, all that stuff. Sit cross-legged, and it's going to help me, it's going to gain. But initially it's kind of necessary. We need to see the limits of that, and we need to go through that to understand, and to open up in many ways the mind, and to understand the futility of it. And then we cross the line, and we become meditation. We become life. We are living meditation. We are that ear that is always listening to life, always learning. It's a constant learning, a constant riding the wave. And we are at the edge of that wave. Constantly. The edge of light, the edge of creativity. But something is always here, observing yourself, observing the I. So what are you? Do you know? So life is that living meditation, and it's very useful. And can we see where it needs to mature? Hope this has been helpful to you. It's a big topic. If you have any questions, let me know. And my website is www.consciousyes.com. And there's links to my YouTube channel where you find more videos on these subjects. And hope this has been helpful. Thank you so much for your time, and have a great day. Thanks. Bye.